It doesn't take long to quickly ruin your life. And today I'm going to share 7 things that if you do these things, I believe that your life will quickly be ruined. And the first thing is if you use alcohol and weed to cope with life. So if you come home from a long day of work or you're out with friends and family and you're just stressed, anxious, depressed, lonely, and you reach for a substance like weed and alcohol, I believe this can be a very slippery slope because not only are you teaching yourself that you can't deal with stress in life in a healthy way, I believe it also can change your brain and wire your brain for instant gratification. So that if you're coming home and you're not happy with who you are and you're not happy with how the day went, and your first thing is, okay, I need to do what I can to numb out, you're essentially training your brain that every single time you go through hardship in life, that you're going to need something to numb out and get rid of that pain instead of gaining more understanding on why you're feeling that way or why things are stressed for you at that time or why you're not happy with yourself so that you can take action. And again, these things are subtle. They compound over time. People don't just start off with drinking a bottle of wine a night or smoking an ounce of weed a day. What happens is you get home, you smoke a little bit, you notice how good you feel after doing so, you notice the pain go away, then the next day you smoke a little bit more and a little bit more, and then a couple weeks go by and now you're spending a decent amount of money every single day to get high, and then you do that for a few more weeks and then months down the road. Now you're smoking a lot every single day to support your habit and to help you numb the pain. And again, if you're not careful, this can quickly ruin your life because of the reasons that I described a few minutes ago, but also because it could lead to using other substances. It could lead to destroying your relationships. It could lead to just feeling lost, unmotivated, and completely stressed out in your life. It could lead to just being super unhappy with the life you've created because of what a substance like weed can do to your brain and how it can completely transform who you are as a person. Maybe you become more anxious, you become more depressed, you just become completely unhappy with who you are. And the same goes for alcohol. It starts with just having 1 drink, then 2 drinks, and 3 drinks, and 4 drinks. And now all of a sudden, a few weeks or a few months down the road, you may be drinking a bottle of wine or a bottle of vodka to support your habit. Again, I'm not saying that everybody is going to go down this path. But what I am saying, if you're not careful, it can certainly happen. It certainly happened to me, and it's happened to a lot of other people that I know. So all I'm saying for this is to really have a lot of self-awareness around why you're behaving a certain way and why you're choosing to engage in certain behaviors. And when you are using substances like weed and alcohol to manage life and cope, it inhibits your ability, I believe, to have that self-awareness because of what it does to your brain and your life over time. So if you can find healthy ways to cope with life, I believe it will help prevent you from ruining your life. You won't need to reach for the substance, reach for the alcohol, reach for the weed, or whatever it is. You'll be more equipped to deal with stress, adversity, and hardship. And in the long run, you will feel so much better about yourself. And the other thing too, you have to be careful of that alcohol and weed can creep up on you on is in social settings. A lot of times it's a social thing where people are gathering to get high together. They're gathering to have drinks. And if you're not careful, you can start to get used to that pattern, start to get used to that environment. And you just want to be very mindful of that. So that if all of your friends and everybody around you, all you're doing is getting high or drinking alcohol after work or on the weekends or whatever it is, that becomes your new normal. And you slowly but surely start to separate yourself from the person that you want to be. And you completely change into this person that you may be unhappy with, all because you are using a substance in a social setting to fit in with certain people and to do certain things and to quote unquote have fun after work or on the weekends. And what I can tell you is, again, this isn't for everybody, but there are a lot of people that start to engage in behaviors like this because they think it's going to be fun or it's going to help them be more social or gain more friends. And it leads to a lot of despair because they notice how good it makes them feel. They notice that they no longer have certain anxieties or stresses or pain or whatever it is they're experiencing in their life. And that becomes something that people become addicted to, and they want more of that. Because remember, these substances are addictive. So you have to be careful. Otherwise, they could quickly ruin your life. So stay out of the habit of using things like alcohol and weed to feel good about yourself. Because downstream, I believe, they can also impact your mental health. They can make you more anxious. They can impact your sleep. They can impact your relationships. They can impact your career. They can impact how you feel about yourself as a person. They can impact your health. So again, that's number one, is to stay away from using things like alcohol and weed to cope with life. The second thing is to stop mindlessly scrolling social media. I was reading a stat that said something like the average person spends over 2 hours a day on social media. And so think about that. 2 hours per day, over 2 hours per day. That's 14 hours per week. Think about what you could do if you didn't scroll social media at all for the week. 2 hours a day could get you an hour of exercise, 30 minutes to grab coffee with a family, friend, or a loved one, 30 minutes to work on a project that you know you've been wanting to work on. I mean, I could think of a million things you could do with 2 hours a day that could be way more productive than scrolling on social media for 2 hours plus every single day. Now, I'm not saying that you should completely quit social media. I'm on social media. I use it daily. But again, it comes back to self-awareness and understanding, like, where does this fit within the context of my life and what I want my goals and life to look like down the road. Because if you're not careful, again, just like with the alcohol and the weed, scrolling social media every single day can slowly and subtly creep up on you and ruin your life in ways you might not expect. For instance, you might find yourself more depressed, stressed, lonely, angry because you're seeing what other people are doing on social media. You're seeing other people's highlight reels. You're seeing what they're doing with their friends and families. You're seeing people on vacations. You're seeing people's successes. And maybe you're not at a place in your life that you want to be. And you're seeing that and you feel like a failure. You feel inferior. You feel like you're not good enough. When really that's not true at all. You're just seeing bits and pieces of people's lives and their highlight reels. But because you're scrolling social media so much, you're almost conditioning your brain to see that and to see other people's successes on social media as their reality. And now you start to measure up to that and say, okay, like maybe I'm not as successful as I thought I was, or maybe I'm not as happy as I want to be, or maybe I am more of a failure, or maybe I'm not going to achieve my goals because look how far ahead they are. I mean, it can go so many different ways. So it can quickly get you into the comparison trap. It can have negative impacts on your mental health because you're exhausting your brain, you're exhausting, certain neural pathways. It can impact your relationships. It can certainly impact your sleep if you're scrolling on social media before you go to bed. If you're out with friends and family and you're in the habit of just scrolling social media mindlessly and not being aware of why you're doing it, you can start to be less present. It can start to impact those relationships because people will notice that you're on your phone more. And I just think subconsciously also you will get attached to the relationship with your phone and get some sort of value out of that maybe will take away from the value you're getting from your friends and family in the present moment. So again, these things are subtle. It's not like you're going to start scrolling social media and then all of a sudden your life is going to fall apart. But over time, if you're not careful, I believe mindlessly scrolling social media can ruin your life because of some of the risks that it involves. Whether that be, like I said, constantly comparing yourself to others, whether that be the impact that it can have on your mental health and your brain, how it impacts your sleep, how it impacts your relationships, how it can impact the way you view success. Because a lot of times, like I've said, people aren't posting the hardships and the climb of the journey on social media. Some people are, but a lot of times it's the highlight reel and you're seeing people's finished product. If you're constantly seeing that, you're conditioning yourself to not appreciate the journey and the grind as much as you should, when really that's where all the confidence, that's where all the fulfillment, that's where all the success comes, is from the journey itself, not from getting to the top. The other thing it can do, there can be a lot of negativity online, a lot of drama, etc. And that can give you this certain adrenaline rush that gets your endorphins going. And that can become addictive as well, because now you're waiting for the next, dramatic thing to happen. You're waiting to see like what happened with this certain negative thing. You're engaging in comments, you're seeing what people said. And this can be so addictive and just time consuming that it just compounds. And then you look back and you're like, man, I wasted so much time not being productive and not going after some of the things that I know I wanted to do because I was mindlessly scrolling social media and taking away from the things that I should be working on. That's another thing too, is that if you're spending hours every single day, at some point you're going to look back with regret and say, man, I'm so upset with myself for scrolling social media for hours every single day because I'm not where I want to be in my life. And I know that if I had a better relationship with social media, if I had better boundaries, if I learned to say no more often, if I learned to have certain guardrails in my life with that, that I would have accomplished much more. Think about how much stuff you could get done, whether that's personal goals, professional goals, relationship goals, spiritual goals, whatever the case may be. There's so much time you could get back. And that's the one thing in life, the one commodity that we can't make more of is time. So make sure you're choosing it wisely. Make sure you're having good boundaries with social media. Make sure that if you feel like you're addicted to it, because again, social media can be addicting, that you're reaching out, asking for help, and doing something to improve your relationship and connection to social media. So the first thing is alcohol and weed. Second thing is scrolling social media. The third thing is laziness and being lazy. This could mean just sitting on the couch all day and, watching TV, watching movies, not showing up to work, not going to the gym, not socializing, not working on your goals. All these things can ruin your life. Because think about it. If you are not going to work because you're feeling unmotivated, then what's going to happen? You may end up getting fired. You may end up just quitting because it's more comfortable for you to sit on the couch than to go to work. You may end up destroying relationships with people at work because of you not showing up. And that's an extreme example. Again, like a more realistic quote unquote example is just not giving your best effort at work and teaching yourself that mediocrity is okay and not giving it your best and not giving it your full effort and just being quote unquote lazy with how you show up at work. I mean, that's not going to be good, right? And you're going to look back with regret and say, I wish I would have put more effort in because I knew I was better than that. I know I deserved better, but I didn't. So if you're lazy at work, if you don't show up, if you go there and you don't give it your full effort, that can obviously ruin your life. If you're lazy and you're not working out, you're not moving your body, that can have a lot of effects downstream as well. And we're going to talk about fitness here in a little bit. When you're not exercising, it's going to have a lot of negative impacts on your mental health, your physical health, and your emotional health. If you're lazy and you're not like wanting to go out and socialize because you quote unquote don't feel like it, that's going to impact your mental health. If you're not working on yourself and doing what you can to improve as a person, that could have downstream effects as well and potentially ruin your life. Because again, life's about getting better. Life is about pursuing more and learning about yourself and taking action and doing whatever you can to achieve the things that you want in life. So when you're lazy and you're hitting the snooze button on your alarm, when you're not going to the gym, when you're not showing up for work, when you're not giving it your best, this is all going to impact you in a very negative way if you're not careful. And again, just like the first couple things I mentioned, this isn't something that just happens right away. It's not like you're going to sit on the couch, watch TV all day, and your life's going to be ruined. No, this becomes a habit, and these habits start to compound. It also begins to transfer into other areas of your life. You're being lazy in work. Now you're being lazy at the gym. Now you're being lazy in relationships. Now you're being lazy with taking care of your mental health and self-care. And then all of this starts to snowball, and then years go by, and you're a completely different person. You're not the person you want to be, all because you started with this unhealthy pattern of being lazy. I think one of the other things that is incredibly important when it comes to laziness is not hitting the snooze button on your alarm. Because when you hit the snooze button on your alarm, what you're telling yourself is that just because you don't want to do something, you don't have to do it. And that's not how life works. You have to continue to show up for yourself and do the thing even when you don't feel like doing it. So when it's 6 a.m., you got your alarm set because you know that you got to get to the gym or you got to get to work or you got to write an email or whatever the case may be, and you hit the snooze button because you're quote unquote tired, you're starting your day off by telling yourself that it's okay to not chase your dreams, that it's okay to not do the thing, that it's okay to not take action just because you don't quote unquote feel like it. And that's a very slippery slope that, again, compounds over time. So if you're lazy and if you're constantly not doing what you can to motivate yourself to succeed in life, it's going to impact your health. It's going to impact your relationships. It's going to impact your overall state of mind. It's going to impact your long-term success. It's going to impact how you view yourself in the world. It's going to impact so much. And so I think it's important to understand that when you're lazy and you're not doing the things you know you should be doing to better yourself, it can really have a negative impact long-term on your overall health and well-being. And this leads into number 4 of the 7 things, and that is not having goals. Because there's that old saying that says you can't hit a target that you can't see. It's so important to hit goals and to reach goals. What's going to happen if you get into a car? Imagine this, you're getting into a car and you're driving down the highway with no destination in mind. You have no idea where you're going, no clue. You're going to end up eventually running out of gas. You're going to end up having your car break down, running out of gas. You're not going to know where you're going. You're going to get lost. And imagine that same situation where you put in a destination, you know where you're going, and maybe there's a roadblock, there's a detour, but at least you have an idea of where you're going and you can adjust along the way. When you have a destination in mind, it at least gives you a guide on where you're going so that if you hit a detour, if you hit a roadblock, if you hit an obstacle, you know where to redirect yourself to get to where you want to go. So when you're not setting goals for yourself, it means you're not focused on self-improvement. It means that you don't believe in yourself to get better. It means you want to settle for less than you deserve in your life. It means that you don't care about reaching your full potential. And again, you might be listening to this or watching this and saying, oh, that doesn't matter to me. I guarantee you it's going to matter to you when you get to the end of your life and you're looking back at the person you could have been, at the things you could have achieved, at the difference you could have made in the world. I guarantee you're going to look back with regret and say, I wish I believed in myself more to set goals for myself and achieve the goals. I wish I could have put the effort in to chase after what I wanted in my life. I wish I would have believed in myself. I wish I would have had faith. I wish I would have done all those things. When you don't have goals and you don't pursue something, you become stagnant. You become mediocre. You become average. You become somebody that you don't like because you have conditioned yourself to believe that you're not meant for more than anything than you currently are, that you don't believe in yourself enough to get better. That's not a good place to be in. That's not a great way to live your life. And I believe that it will quickly ruin your life if you're not setting goals and looking to get better. If you're not setting goals in your health and fitness, if you're not setting goals in your career, if you're not setting goals in your relationship, if you're not setting personal goals, I believe if you stay mediocre and average in those areas, that it will negatively impact your life over time. So one of the things you could start doing is just taking out a piece of paper and just writing down some simple things that you want to get done in the next 30 days in different areas of your life, whether that's your health, relationships, career, personal, mental health, spiritual, whatever buckets of life that are important to you, and just write a few things down. And then after you write those things down, like figure out, okay, like what are some daily things that I need to do and weekly things that I need to do and monthly things that I need to do to get to those goals. And I guarantee you that even if you don't reach those goals, but you give it your absolute best, you're going to feel so much better about yourself because you believed in yourself enough to pursue something that could make you a better human being and move you along in life. And I think when you don't set goals, you're telling yourself that it's okay to be comfortable. And I got to tell you, life is not comfortable. Life is going to throw you curveballs. Life is going to hit you in ways you don't expect it. Life is going to force you to change. It's going to challenge you. And if you're conditioning yourself that it's okay to stay comfortable and not set goals for yourself and not pursue things, you're not going to be able to handle life when life comes at you. There's that old saying that says you either choose to change your life or life will change you, or something like that. And it's so true. Like if you're not constantly working on becoming a better version of yourself and setting and achieving goals, like life is going to force you to change in ways that you may not expect it. So again, set goals in your life. Focus on becoming a better version of yourself. Don't settle. You deserve more. So set goals and achieve them. Do whatever it takes. Number 5 is not exercising. If you're not exercising, it's going to have negative impacts on your physical health, as we all know. It's going to have negative impacts on your mental health. It's going to have negative impacts on your emotional health, your overall well-being. There's a lot of people that go throughout their life that are feeling stressed, anxious, depressed, unworthy, unconfident, low self-esteem, low self-worth. And a lot of that can be helped with exercise. You have to do what it takes to exercise regularly. Because a lot of people, when they think of not exercising, the first thing that comes to mind is what happens physically. Weight gain, health issues down the road, cardiovascular stuff, issues with your heart. But really, some of the biggest side effects are subtle if not exercising. Having low self-confidence, low self-esteem, lack of self-discipline, not being comfortable, getting uncomfortable, afraid of facing your fears, more stress, more anxiety, low self-worth. All these things are going to snowball and completely destroy other areas of your life if you're not careful. So again, if you're not exercising, it will subtly ruin your life in ways that you may not expect it. Doesn't mean you need to spend hours at the gym every single day. All I'm saying is you need to find out where you're at in your fitness level, which is why setting goals is so important, and then figure out what are some things you can do on a regular basis to get more movement into your life in whatever way works for you. That could be walking, could be going to the gym, could be yoga, it could be taking a group fitness class, could be hiking, whatever it is, but find something that works for you that you can stick to on a regular basis. Number 6 is hanging out with people that bring you down. Your environment creates a false sense of normalcy. I'm going to say that again. Your environment creates a false sense of normalcy. If you're spending time with people that are constantly drinking, smoking weed, making bad decisions, not taking care of their health, complaining, gossiping, you will slowly become like those people, and you will become somebody that you hate. You will feel way more lonely in that friend group than you ever would spending time by yourself. I know from experience, because what happens is you're that person that wants to fit in. You have a good heart. You're a good human. You want to find friends. You want to stop spending time by yourself. You want to laugh and you want to feel like you have a lot of things going on and be part of the cool crowd. All you want is that social connection. But then if you go out and you spend time with people that aren't aligned with who you are at the moment or where you want to go, just for the sake of spending time with people, and you start to engage in bad habits, bad behaviors, the way you talk about others, etc., you will become that person. And then down the line, you will feel awful about yourself because you've morphed into a person that you don't like because of spending time with the wrong people and then just adapting to becoming those people because our environments create a false sense of normalcy. You will think it's normal to engage in those behaviors. You will think it's normal to talk down to others. You will think it's normal to use substances to cope with your life. You will think it's normal to not have goals. You will think it's normal to not go after what you want in life because everybody else around you is doing that very same thing. So if you spend time with the wrong people, it will quickly destroy your life. Also, people will spend time with people that make fun of them for the sake of just being included in the cool crowd. I've done that before where I've spent time with people because I wanted to fit in and I wanted to live a certain life, and I would get made fun of, and I would think to myself, well, that's just my ticket. That's what I'm bringing to the table to be able to hang out with these people as I let them make fun of me. And is that a way to live your life? Absolutely not. Think about what that will do to your mental health. Think about what that will do to your overall outlook on life is if you're spending time with people that are constantly making fun of you and that are constantly cracking jokes on you all the time, what is that going to do to your overall well-being and how you feel about yourself? You're going to feel awful. So again, spending time with people that are engaging in poor behaviors, spending time with people that are making fun of you just for the sake of spending time with people is all going to ruin your life long-term. The other thing that can happen is if you're spending time with people that don't have high goals and high self-worth and don't have dreams, when you want to do something, if you're somebody that wants to achieve something in your business, your personal life, something in your fitness, these same people will say, you're thinking too big, or you'll never achieve that, or stop being so selfish, or I can't believe that you're that arrogant to think you can do that. They'll start saying things like that, and you'll start minimizing yourself to fit into this box that's your friend group because they feel a certain way, and you won't achieve your goals and you won't achieve your dreams. And again, this will be something that will creep up on you later in life. And again, this is all subtle. All these things I'm mentioning are subtle. And it's not like you're going to hang out with the wrong crowd and then overnight your life is going to be destroyed. Now, in certain circumstances, yes, but I'm saying for the most part, it's over time these things compound. And if you're somebody that at your core wants to achieve something in life, at your core wants to make a difference in the world, at your core, you're a great human being, you're going to look back and say, why did I spend time with those people? Why did I let them make fun of me so much? Why did I let them minimize my goals, my dreams? Why did I let them influence me to make bad decisions? And what I'm saying here isn't to blame your friends for your problems. Not saying that at all. You have to take full responsibility and accountability for your actions and behaviors. But on the other side of that, these things can subtly affect you because they do influence you and they do impact you. So you have to be very careful with the people you spend time with. So the golden rule that I always will tell people as far as who to spend time with, I always say a couple things. Number one, spend time with people that have common futures and not common pasts. Number two is to spend time with people that love you, challenge you, and support you unconditionally. Again, love you, support you, and challenge you unconditionally. So it's not just people that are constantly patting you on the back. It's people that are not afraid to give you some constructive criticism and hold you accountable if you're not being your best self and acting out of character. So those are the types of people that you want to spend time with. And number 7 out of this list is comparing yourself to others. It's comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. It's saying things like, I'll never achieve that thing in my life. Look at where that person is. Look what they've achieved. I'll never get there. What people forget is that everybody had to start with their own chapter 1 in whatever endeavor it is in their life. So if you compare yourself to others, it can hold you back from achieving the things you want in life because you think that you're further away from reaching your goals than you actually are. You think that it's going to be harder than it actually is. You think it's going to take way more time than it actually does. You think that somebody else is more quote unquote gifted than you and got lucky or whatever, when really you're just seeing, again, the end of the journey. You're seeing the success, especially if you're somebody that scrolls on social media. That's all you're seeing. You have to remember, everybody had to start with the early chapters. The other danger of comparing yourself to others is you forget to run your own race. We hear this a lot. You start chasing after somebody else's dreams because you think that's what success looks like. You think that that's what happiness looks like. You think that that's what will please the people around you or make you happy. Then you end up wasting so much time in your life chasing after something that's not meant for you. And you will notice that things don't work out. You will notice that things are constantly not going your way. You will notice that you're not achieving your goals. You will notice that you're miserable. You're more anxious. You're not fulfilled. Why? Because you started comparing your life to somebody else's and thinking that running somebody else's race and following their path would help you become happier in your life. And it's not true at all. You have to follow what's best for you. You have to stop trying to run somebody else's race because you will not finish that race because it's not meant for you. You have to stay true to what's best for you, because if you waste time trying to please others, trying to run other people's races, or trying to achieve goals that aren't meant for you because you're comparing yourself to somebody else and you are identifying what their level of happiness looks like and you think that's what's meant for you, you will ruin your life because you're going to waste so much time and energy on focusing on things that aren't meant for you. And you're going to end up hitting so many unnecessary trials, tribulations, and roadblocks that could have been prevented if you just followed what was meant for you and stopped comparing yourself to others. Comparing yourself to others and comparing your life to others is one of the fastest ways to become miserable, because you will start to think about the things that you don't have in your life. You will start to get angry. You'll start to get jealous. You'll start to get envious. You'll start to forget the things that you have achieved in your life. Again, I think there's a difference between comparing yourself to others and being inspired by others. Like, I think it's healthy to look at what other people have achieved in their lives and say, you know what? I think that's really admirable and it's inspirational, and I want to kind of do something similar. What can I learn from them? How can I implement certain things into my life that are helping me get to my goals and my dreams? I think that's healthy. But just doing something because you saw somebody else doing it without any kind of self-awareness or reasoning behind it, I think gets you in trouble. And the other thing too, when you compare yourself to others sometimes, especially if you're hanging out with the wrong people, you'll say, okay, well, I'm doing okay. I look at what these people are doing. I'm doing better than them. Like their life is falling apart, but at least my life isn't falling apart like them. Or they're making this amount of money. At least I'm not making that. Or their health is a certain way. At least my health isn't that bad. You see where I'm going with this? So the comparison trap can work the other way too, where now you start to minimize yourself and you start to become mediocre and average because you're comparing yourself to the people around you that might be subconsciously bringing you down. And the last thing I'll say about the comparison trap, and I think this is the most important, is you start to lose your sense of self. Because when you compare yourself to others and you try to fit a square peg into a round hole, or you start to run somebody else's race, or you start to chase somebody else's dreams, or whatever the example is that you want to use, you start to become a chameleon and you start to change from who you truly are. And when you start to change from who you truly are and you lack a sense of self and you start to move away from who you are at your core, you'll become miserable because you'll feel lost, you'll feel lonely, you'll feel unfulfilled, and you have no idea why. This stuff, again, is subtle and it compounds. You have no idea why this is happening until one day you'll wake up and you'll say, oh, this is why. 5 years ago, 5 months ago, 3 weeks ago, I saw a post online, or I saw my friend or somebody in my family doing this, and I thought that I needed to be like them to be happy, and I started to pursue that, and I started to engage in behaviors, engage in things, and follow certain things because I thought that's what would make me happy, and then I started to change slowly and surely and over time, and now I'm sitting here and I'm a person that I don't like, and it's all starting to make sense, and I need to figure out a way to find my way back to my true self. Because if you're changing yourself to please others, if you're changing who you are because you want to fit a certain mold, if you're changing who you are because you think that's what success looks like, I can promise you that you will be very miserable down the road, and it will impact you in ways that you may not even be aware of. It'll impact your relationships. It'll impact your job. It'll impact your self-worth. It'll impact your emotional health, your mental health, your spiritual health. It'll impact so much if you compare yourself to others and you lose your sense of self and you start morphing into somebody else because you think that's what's going to make you successful. So I encourage you, don't compare yourself to others. Stay true to yourself. Set goals. Stop being lazy. Stop using substances like alcohol and weed to deal with your problems. Stop mindlessly scrolling social media and have better boundaries around that. Start taking control of your time again. Start exercising and moving your body to improve your self-worth, to improve your self-confidence, to improve your physical health. Start hanging out with people that bring the best out in you. You deserve more in life. You don't deserve to ruin your life. So be careful. Don't fall into these 7 traps. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, I really think you're going to like this video as well. I'll see you there.